All right, welcome back to another episode of this little podcast that I've made. This is episode number 40 of the Wild Bill podcast. I'm going to be talking about the first 2.5 series that the Cubs have had in the 2025 baseball season. Oh my God, I'm getting blown up right now. What's the point of Do Not Disturb? How about I just mute that? Babe, I'll text you back after this 15-minute or so episode. Cubs are, I believe it's 5-4 now after the 2.5 series. We'll get into it. First and foremost, I'm going to make up a sponsor right off the top of my head. This week's episode is brought to you by taking accountability for your actions. Don't lie to people. Don't try to make yourself look better than what you really are. It's lame, and it's not cool. Believe it or not, if you tell the truth, people are more bound to like you and to believe you and to not go around telling people how much of a loser you are. So, yeah, that's today's sponsor, accountability. Some of you may need some more, and I'll tell you what, I'll give you an offer you can't refuse. You can just do it by yourself for free and make yourself look better. So, accountability. Try it out. All right, so let's get right into it. The Cubs have played 2.5 series, as I've mentioned many times before. Too early to really look into the standings. There's some first impressions that we can get into with some other teams. Super quick, the Dodgers are incredible. They're probably going to win the World Series again. The Padres are looking pretty good, so that'll be a big test for the Cubs coming up Friday at 1:20 at Wrigley Field at the landmark, the friendly confines. It's an exciting time. I'm sure there will be a big crowd for the first Friday day game of the season. The Brewers had a rough first series, which you love to see, against the Yankees. Yankees are probably going to be pretty good this season too. Cardinals will probably be the biggest competition for the Cubs in the Central, which if that's the case, I'm not really that worried about it. Nolan Arenado's still doing his thing. They did lose Paul Goldschmidt, which is a big bat to lose. That's really the only attention I've paid outside of the Cubs. I've been trying to keep myself pretty busy recently. Came back from that job up in Mammoth that I, once again, cannot say too much about. Let's start first with the Arizona Diamondbacks series. Again, what I do is I just don't take notes. I just go right off the dome, off my first impressions, and just speak from the heart, from a lifelong Cubs fan. Sums up with Justin Steele. I'm not too worried about it. He's not locating the way I'm sure he wished that he could. It's not the biggest thing yet because it's not really costing us games. We've won the ones that we were going to win and lost the ones that we were going to lose probably. So he hasn't been the biggest X factor in the pitching department. That has clearly been the bullpen, and we'll get into that game. But I'm not too worried about our ace getting into the season and being able to finally get to whatever pitch count Craig Counsell thinks is acceptable. Because I do think in that first half series against the Dodgers, Shota was so limited to his 70 pitch count, where going past 4 innings would have maybe put the Cubs in a better position to, salvage out their bullpen and see who we could trust coming out for the rest of the game, the rest of the 5 innings that we were supposed to go. So not even having your actual ace be out there for more than half of the game was severely limiting in that first game out in Japan. But that won't be an issue moving forward. And again, I think Justin Steele is going to pitch himself back into shape. He's going to pitch himself back into locating properly. And that's going to be an issue for all the other teams. So that's just my first impression. Justin Steele, nothing to worry about yet. Shota Managa, incredible. Jameson Taillon in his start specifically yesterday that I saw was locating really well. He was hitting his spots. He was getting the batters to swing and miss. He was getting calls also. That's great to see. Those are just my first impressions of all of the pitchers that we've seen. Ben Brown, he was all right. Obviously, that last game in Arizona, the Diamondbacks were the number 1 offense last season. So we know that they're capable of hitting the ball. They were super aggressive in their approach the entire 4-game series. I just think it was a massive missed opportunity to not shut them out in the bottom of the 8th inning with a 4-run cushion to secure a series victory. 3 out of 4 would have been great. Would have been nice. But that's just what seems to happen when not forward-thinking decisions are being made in the offseason. Obviously, trading away Cody Bellinger and getting that reliever looked to be something that was forward-thinking and that, Jed was thinking about extending. I think his name was Cody Poteet. He got DFA'd, so he's probably back on the Yankees right now. I haven't really checked up on the guy. I've been processing how dumb of a trade this appears to be. If it's just a salary dump, I say just say that. Save us, the thought of maybe this is going to get flipped into something better. But, I mean, that's one of the big trade misses that happened. People are saying a lot about the Cam Smith to Houston for possibly only 1 year of Kyle Tucker. That might age terribly unless Kyle Tucker gets extended, because pivoting into the offense, the Cubs' bat obviously jumped off the page here in Sacramento. I was about to say Oakland. Weird situation they're going through. It's kind of like they broke up with Northern California, but they still are on the lease for a couple years, and it's awkward. And they're playing in a really small, single A, double A baseball stadium in West Sacramento. I like that place, though. The Cubs played really well in it. I mean, they scored 10 runs yesterday. I think it was 18 on Friday. It was awesome. I mean, Seiya Suzuki's hitting them in bunches. Kyle Tucker hit a home run 4 straight games. There was a freaking cycle out of Carson Kelly, newcomer on the team, the second catching option on the bench. That's cool to see. I did not realize that the Cubs had never hit a cycle in my lifetime. Mark Grace in 93 was the last time that happened. So, cool to see. I think it was the first time in MLB history there was a cycle hit in the first game played in a stadium at the major league level. So that's pretty cool. There was also a stat that in the entirety of Oakland's history, there was never a visiting player that hit a cycle at the Coliseum. So in the very first game in Sacramento, obviously Carson Kelly was the one to do it. So yeah, that was an exciting game. You love to see a big win. Love to see a sweep against Oakland, especially the way that they did it, with gusto and with confidence and with putting the ball in play. Stealing bases also, that was a big one. I did not see Kyle Tucker as being a base-stealing threat, but he swiped one yesterday during the day game. PCA is getting going. Nico Horner, we know that he's got some wheels on him. He got a pretty good jump yesterday also. I just came out of the bathroom watching yesterday's highlights. I was busy, so I didn't get to sit down and actually watch that game, but I did watch the first two. Yeah, things are looking pretty good after the first 2.5 series. I have no real concerns so far. I do still think that Japan series was weird, and as much as we can use it to measure up against the class of the National League, we can also kind of discount it and say that it was a one-off 2-game set that, was kind of just more than anything treated like an exhibition a week before the games really counted. And it sucks that it gets a game taken away from, the Wrigley series, the Dodger Stadium series. And in that way, I feel like as a fan, we're getting kind of cheated out of some of those games that people are going to pay a lot of money to go to. I got a nice discount to go to the Dodgers game out here when the Cubs are in town. But for other people that are willing to throw their money away at, being in the stadium, that's a shame. It's something that is taken away. There's not so many games where these teams are playing each other in each respective stadium. And, hopefully it's not an every year kind of thing. So that's my impression. I'm looking forward to seeing how they match up with the San Diego Padres. I, just like with every series, expect them to win the series. If not 2 out of 3, then a clean sweep. They're playing good baseball, animated. I think it'll be, a jolt of energy to be in front of the home crowd, especially that 121st pitch on a Friday afternoon in Chicago. Can't beat it. I got to check the weather. I don't know what it's going to be like. I doubt that it's 70 degrees yet in Chicago, even though, it'll change in a blink of an eye. But early season baseball is still great in Chicago. I know the White Sox won a couple games. That was exciting. That whole AL Central is hilarious. I think at the moment, April 3rd, I think every team is 2-4. So we'll see that tight race in the AL Central. But, yeah, I'm happy. I'm satisfied so far. Obviously, a little bit to work on with giving up that 4-run lead against the high-powered Arizona Diamondbacks offense to split the series, but hopefully we can take that, flip it into some sort of learning experience or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. And we can move forward. I can get over it pretty easily as long as this doesn't become a regular occurrence like it was last season. I think we all remember that, what was it, the 9-run lead that was given up in San Diego? That sucked. That was the night of the national championship where UConn went back-to-back. I remember watching that game and then being like, the Cubs are winning big. Switching over and just seeing the meltdown. How about we don't do that again? How about that? Around the league, other news, that torpedo bat. It's crazy that it took this long for them to figure out physics and how that would benefit hitters. And, in a game where there's so many other methods that people have used to gain an advantage, and it's the same in every sport. It's crazy it took them that long to realize, this bat that everybody uses, there's no, set rules to, the shape of it. We can put more wood into the sweet spot of every respective batter. I think it's cool. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, the major league players are capable of personalizing all their equipment, the way their uniform fits, their gloves, as long as it fits within, the regulations of whatever. And it seems like it's pretty lax on wood baseball bats. That's cool. And I've heard the argument, too, the more runs that get scored, probably the better for the future of the sport. Because you want to see more runs. It's more exciting. It gets more people into, in the door of watching the game. It'll help it grow. Not just here, but internationally also. As if, there's a big market for it, especially, south of the U.S. and Latin America, in Japan. I think Australia has a pretty big following for baseball. They play games out in London, and those sell out pretty well. It's an exciting time for the growth of all, American sports leagues between the MLB and the NFL. So that's cool. And those are my impressions after the first 2.5 series that the Cubs have played. 5-4, we're about 500. Hopefully we stay that way. I would like for the Cubs to remain in this position near the top of the NL Central. We'll see how the other teams are doing after, another weekend. And hopefully when they start playing, I don't know who the Cubs play after the Padres series. I know they're coming out to L.A., not this weekend, but the following weekend, because I will be in attendance for the Saturday night game. Try to make a whole day out of it, because why not? And, baseball's back, and I am super excited for it. Personal news, I'm switching my job to a closer one. Getting away from management that doesn't take accountability. If you were wondering where that sponsor from earlier today came from. I'm excited. I'm having a good time. Having a good time with life. Having a good time speaking into the microphone, looking at that camera. And I am thankful for anyone that happens to tune in and wants to hear my thoughts on baseball and the Chicago Cubs. I got no notes on the Bears this week. The Bulls are winning games for whatever reason. They just refuse to tank, and we're going to be in the play-in game, which sucks because we're probably not going to play our way into the playoffs. But Josh Giddey hit that shot, and that was cool. Right over LeBron. That was awesome. The Blackhawks suck. Sorry. So that's what I got this week. I believe this was episode 40. I just keep pumping these out. I don't mind. If anybody ever wants to know my thoughts on the Cubs, just, turn this on. You'll know exactly where I'm at. Things are on the up and up. And, I'll check back in after maybe another 2.5 series. So, thanks again for watching. I appreciate all my friends, my family, anybody that happens to hit play or stumble upon this. I appreciate it. So, until next time, it's over.